So I have officially moved back to Malta. So I've officially moved to Malta. It does feel a little bit strange because when I left 4 years ago, I genuinely never thought I would be back here to live here permanently. Of course, I knew I'll be coming to visit my friends, I'll be coming maybe on holiday, but I never really considered coming back here to live here permanently. But hey, life is funny. If you have asked me a few years ago, I would genuinely believe that by now I would be a digital nomad, living somewhere around the world, anywhere I would like. I would be making money off my travel blog, maybe growing my online business and living a dream. But guess what? It did not happen. So in this video, I will tell you why I decided to move back to Malta, what are some of the pros and cons of living in Malta that I had to consider before making this decision, what made me make that decision, and what is the plan for the future, what is going to happen with my new Malta life. So let's go. So here's a little bit of a backstory in case you are here for the first time, in case you've never been to this channel before. Hi, my name is Pati, the Timeless Traveler. I am in my 40s, and for the past year, I lived in Athens, in Greece. And recently I've decided that I am going to leave Greece and I moved back to Malta because I actually have lived here before. I left Malta around 4 years ago. If you want to know why I decided to leave Greece, I actually have a separate video on that, which I made recently. So I will link it in the description below and you can watch it next. But what I want to talk about in this video is why it was actually quite of a tough decision and what made me decide on moving back to Malta. It was actually one of the hardest decisions I've had to make maybe in my life. I don't know, it wasn't the hardest, but it was one of the hardest because for the first time in a really, really long time, I had no idea what to do with my life. I've always had some kind of plan, a goal. I wanted to become a digital nomad. I wanted to become a travel blogger. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to do something else. I've always had a plan. This time, for the first time in my life, I actually had no idea what to do because my main plan completely fell apart and I did not have a plan B. But I knew that I had to go. I knew I cannot stay in Athens. I was lonely. I was not very happy, to be honest with you. I felt like if I stayed a little bit longer, the sadness might turn into much worse feelings. And also to top it up, I was totally broke with no perspectives on improving that situation. And when you are in your late 40s, being broke is not the place you want to be in. So I knew I had to make a change and make a move that will improve my life. I also knew that I wanted to go to a country that I already knew, a country that I maybe lived in previously. If you are new to this channel, I've lived in a couple of countries before. I am originally from Poland, so of course I lived in Poland twice because around 2 years ago I returned to Poland to live there for around 1.5 years. I've also lived in UK, I've also lived in Spain / Gibraltar because I was living in Spain and working in Gibraltar. But I also lived in Malta and I lived in Greece. So I knew that I wanted to go to a country that I knew. I needed to know what to expect. Not because I am not a risk taker, but because I am a risk taker, I needed to do something that will give me kind of a guaranteed result. I was at this point in my life where I couldn't take risks because my situation was not very good. So I knew that I cannot afford at the moment, and at the stage of my life that I am right now, I couldn't afford any risk. I knew that there has to be a country where I have some people that I know and I love, because I did feel lonely in Athens. So I was considering a couple of places. I was considering Poland because obviously I have my family there, and I lived a couple of years ago and I've actually had a great time. So I considered coming back to Poland, but I also considered Malta because I lived here as well, because I knew the country. I never left Malta hating it. I left Malta because I quit my job to travel and become a travel blogger. And I didn't even have any other options because since Brexit, UK is not an option for me anymore. So I was really considering Poland or Malta, but it was a really difficult decision to make because I didn't have a job lined up in any of those places, and they couldn't be more different. So I was weighing those two countries, but it was really, really hard. In the end, I've decided I'm gonna go with what I really love about places that I'm staying at. I love the Mediterranean lifestyle. I love the weather. I love to be close to the sea. So I've decided to move to Malta. But I also knew that I couldn't leave Greece. I couldn't go anywhere unless I had a job lined up. Because of my financial situation and because of the amount of money I was earning in Greece, it was almost impossible to save up anything. And if you've ever moved to another country, you will know that you need to have some savings. You need to have enough money to survive until you find a job. You have to have enough money saved up for your first apartment, for your deposit for the apartment and things like that. But I had no option to do that with the amount of money I was earning in Greece. So I knew if I left, it would have to be because I already had a job lined up. So I started looking for a job in Malta, and that didn't go very well. I have a theory on why this would be, because although I was applying for companies within the industry that I had experience in, I used to work in the industry before, my CV wasn't excellent because I had two large gaps, because I quit my job twice to travel and to work on my travel blog. So I had two large gaps on my CV, both of almost 1 year. I am not the youngest as well, and although I tried my hardest to hide it within the CV, it is what it is. I am not 25, I'm in my late 40s, so it is much, the older you are, the harder it is to get a job, a decent job. And also I wasn't there. The potential employer always prefers to hire someone that's already in the country. Although I wasn't looking for any kind of a relocation package. If I found one, it would be obviously a bonus, but I wasn't looking for any relocation bonus or anything like that, or any support with relocation. But yet I think if you have hundreds of candidates and you have few candidates that are not yet relocated in the country, you probably go for those that are nearby. So it was a few different components to that failure. So at some point I became so frustrated with the process, so sad and angry and even almost depressed. I've decided that I need to stop that because I was not functioning anymore. Everything was just going around this process, and I knew that I have to make some kind of decision. I had to settle for something at some point. So I've decided to give up for some time and just let the universe decide. And if it was not meant for me to leave, I had to improve my living situation where I was, which was in Greece at that time. And funny how things are. The moment we surrender, sometimes the universe gives us those answers. And 2 days later, a friend of mine called me and she said that there is a new opening for a position in the company that I used to work for. I applied for the job, I had the interview, and a few days later, I was offered a job. So I had my job. I have a friend here that I could stay with for a little bit until I get myself settled, and decision was made. So why Malta? I already mentioned a couple of things that I like about this country, and I really wanted to stress here that I did not make this decision blindly. If there are people watching this video that are based in Malta or were based in Malta, I know what I'm going to hear, because there's a lot of voices out there. There's a lot of negative opinions about the country, and I know people will say that Malta is not a great place to live in, and they'll give you many reasons why. That the country is small, that the bigger cities are polluted, that there is a construction site at each corner, that there is not much nature because there's no forests, no lakes, no rivers here. The list goes on. A lot of people would also say that Malta became really expensive, which is true, but I have a slightly different opinion on this as well. But I lived here and I've experienced all those negative parts of living in Malta, and I still love it. I still like the country. I love its coastline. I love taking walks along its coastline. I love exploring the island. I think there's a lot of places that people don't even know exist, because all the tourists, they just come to few main attractions around the island, and there's so many beautiful places to see in Malta. I love the Mediterranean vibe, the lifestyle, the weather, and I am aware how hot it is in July and August, and I do not appreciate it, but I was also suffering in July and August in Athens. I love the mild winters. I love the fact that I can just walk out of the house. It's January now, and if I walked out with this shirt, the sun is shining, although you can't see it now because the location of the flat is not ideal for the natural light. But if I walked out of the house right now wearing just this shirt, I would not be needing a jacket, and it is end of January. There's a lot of things that I actually appreciate about the country, but what I wanted to stress here is that, and something that I've learned throughout my life, throughout my expat adventures, moving from one country to another and traveling from one country to another, is that there is no such a thing as a perfect country. There is no such a thing as perfect place. There is a perfect place that is perfect for you. We all look for different things. Some of us love nature, some of us love big cities, some of us hate big cities. There's so many different things that we like and dislike, and what for others would be a no, it might be something that other people would appreciate. Like, for example, a lot of people complain that Malta is small. I love the compactness of the country. I love that I can be anywhere I like within 2 hours drive. I don't like being in big cities anymore, where I have to take a bus or train or subway or metro to get to places, even within the same cities. I love it that I can walk to many places within the area that I am right now. And if I wanted to go somewhere further away, I could even take a taxi, because even a taxi is never too expensive here. But the public transportation is actually free for Maltese residents as well. So I really appreciate the compactness of the country, and it doesn't bother me because it's just so easy to get to anywhere from Malta. If I fancied a change of scenery, I can just get on a plane and you can get to so many different places from Malta easily and often very affordably. A place like Sicily in Italy is only 30 minutes by plane, which is insane. I can go to Poland and be there in 2 hours, and the flights are pretty cheap. So although Malta is small, the whole world seems to be much closer to Malta. You need to find your own place, and I need to find my own place based on what are our priorities. So although I was totally aware of all the negative things about the country, the positive aspects of living here, for me personally, outweigh the negative aspects. I will be making a separate video a little bit later, probably in few months after I've settled here, after I've had my own place, because obviously I am aware that a lot of things might have changed in the last few years. So I will be definitely making a separate video about the pros and cons of living in Malta. So stay tuned for that one. It will definitely come. But what I really wanted to say here, that I am not wearing a pink tinted glasses right now. I am aware of everything, and it was a very conscious decision. And to be honest with you, I am really, really excited. So what's next on this Malta journey? As you can see behind me, there is a mattress because I am staying in my friend's house. She kindly allowed me to stay in her house until I get my first full month of wages, so I can start searching for my new apartment. So this is next. I already have the job, so I literally came in on Friday, a little bit over a week ago, and on Monday I started my new job. So I came here with the job lined up, which is great. I will be looking for an apartment, and to be honest with you, I am really looking forward to unpacking my life, not only in a literal way, like unpacking my actual bag or suitcase. I am also looking forward to unpacking my life in more metaphorical way, because if you've ever seen any of my past videos from Greece, those that were filmed in my apartment, I never really truly unpacked my life. I never bought anything for the apartment. I never really decorated it. I never really bought anything that was not absolutely necessary, because I always felt like I didn't know where I'm going to be tomorrow. So I don't want to unpack my life completely because I don't know what's going to happen. And to be totally honest with you, I am slightly tired of this, and I really am looking forward to finding a small studio, because the prices of flats, of rental apartments in Malta are atrocious. I will be making video on that as well, but hopefully I will be able to afford a small cozy studio somewhere here, maybe decorating it, maybe getting some travel souvenirs, get a nice bookshelf, fill it in with the books that I maybe have time to read this time, and just have a base, have a place where I can come back to, either from work or travels or any other life adventures that are there ahead of me that I am totally maybe not aware of yet. So I am really looking forward to creating that base, because I haven't had one for many years. I am not 25 anymore. I am in my late 40s. So I knew that the plans that I've had, because they failed, because a lot of things just went crumbling down, I had to reshift my focus. I had to do some reshuffling and shift my priorities. I knew that I had to come up with a new plan, and creating this base, this forever home, is part of this plan. It's a part of much bigger plan, because finally I have a little bit of a plan for my life, but this is the first step. But I've also learned that life is just so full of surprises, and things can change really quickly. Throughout my life, I found myself in places that I could have never imagined I would find myself if you just asked me a few years earlier. The countries I moved to, the things I've done, the places I traveled to. Often, if you told me that I would be doing this a few years before, I would say, you're crazy, this will never happen. So I'm totally aware that life is very unpredictable. So I can't say for sure where I will be in 2 or 5 years, but as things are at the moment, I am definitely looking forward to creating a forever home in Malta. So stay with me and subscribe if you want to see some more videos from Malta. I will be definitely making more videos about living in Malta and cost of living in Malta. I'll be taking you around on some walks around the island, but I also like to throw every now and then a little bit of a different video, something a little bit more of a life chat or a little bit more philosophical content, because this is just who I am. So if this is something that you enjoy and if you would like to stay in touch, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, because it always helps the algorithm and a small YouTuber like me. And if there is anything that you would like me to talk about in more depth, anything really regarding moving to another country, moving from Greece to Malta, any aspect of living in Malta that you would like me to cover in the future videos, or anything regarding just changing your life in your 40s and starting over and starting from scratch, anything at all, please leave a comment in the comment section below and I'll be very happy to make a video about it. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Ciao.